Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
John Campbell, I don't have COVID.
That's good. We should just start every episode with that. Don't have COVID.
We actually probably should, because you need to get that out of the way almost at the top of everything so people can sit back and enjoy.
Yes.
I got a little sick. So I'm a little scratchy throated, but I'm not COVID-y. How are you feeling? You good?
I'm doing just. I mean, I'll say this: I was doing better before I watched this week's movie, but this week's movie is. I mean, I guess we should have known trouble when literally neither one of us had ever even heard of this movie. Which I think that's a first.
Yeah,
I think that's a first for this show, where we have no idea this movie even existed.
Had never heard of it, and now I know why.
Because it is impossibly forgettable. Like, it's
this
so
movie involves filmmakers we've talked about before, screenwriters we've talked about before, actors we've talked about before, including one of our favorite actors of all time.
Yeah, I know. I was texting somebody about this. I said, I'm watching this Legend of the Werewolf movie. And I said, neither Brendan and I have ever heard of it. And they just responded, how is that possible? You guys love Peter Cushing so much. I'm like, I know. I thought I was at least, if not have seen, at least am aware of the vast majority of his filmography.
Right.
And this thing... Well, this came from... No, we should say we're watching 1975's Legend of the Werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
This came from Tyburn Films.
Tyburn Films, from what I gather, they were a European, specifically, I think, Turkish unit or film company that they came on the scene and did not last long. But one of their goals was to try to pick up where Hammer left off.
Exactly.
Which is why this is a Hammer grab bag of people. And
everything about the movie feels that way. Including the werewolf design of this looks very similar to Hammer's werewolf movie. Very similar.
Well, yes. And the script is by our good friend Anthony Hines, once again as John Elder.
I always love that. There's some part of Anthony Hines that went, I don't want my actual name on this.
Well, I mean, but he had written, Curse of the Werewolf for Hammer. Yeah. So clearly, which
is now so much better in comparison to this. That movie's a masterpiece compared to this thing.
But the fact that the makeup in this is essentially a step down copy of it is it's clearly as if they're like, well, Hammer never got to do another werewolf movie, so this is my other take on it. And I don't even know where to put the blame. The blame is all over the map.
Yeah.
I will say the only person in this movie that is blameless is Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing
because
is great in this movie.
Once again, he rises above the material.
Oh, he's so good in this movie. Like, I was watching.
He's a surgeon who works with the police.
Yes,
and he does kind of not a Holmesian, but he becomes a detective of sorts.
Well, and he's also kind of like a guy at the forefront of forensics, like doing autopsies and stuff like that. And the police are like, "What's all this then?" You know?
Yes, exactly. And he's not doing Van Helsing. I mean, it is a very Peter Cushing role,
also,
but at the same time, this guy seems a little lighter hearted. And even though he's an intelligent guy, he's just sort of excited by, this is a case I've never encountered before.
Yeah.
So
also,
he has a lightness to him in this that I really enjoyed.
I'll get to the one scene, but I don't know if you picked this up and wrote this down as well. He's maybe gay?
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, we'll talk about it. There's one scene that implies something when he goes to the brothel.
You mean the thing where, when he goes to the whorehouse and he's got the little lace thing in his hands, and they go, "Oh, we don't cater to odd tastes around here." And he looks down and he goes, "Oh, no, that's not what."
He's the one who says, I'm afraid. There's sort of a thing where it's like a peculiarity or something like that. And I don't know. Like I said, it maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that kind of made me like his character more. That it's like, he's a man of science. He might be, if not homosexual, bisexual, or something that would have been not approved of at the time.
It could be totally read into his character.
I think I might be trying to make this movie better.
You don't get anything of his personal life at all, but at the same time, it is that what I liked about that is just like everything that hits him until the very end when his life is in danger and whatever, essentially he rolls with it so well. Like in this case, with that, it seems that he's almost laughing of like, oh, because I'm, oh, no.
Right.
well, and just but it's not like him going, I like the chicks, damn it.
No,
I just like the fact he's like, I'm not offended, whatever.
His whole relationship with that, with the whorehouse and all the stuff is, he is neither sleazy nor judgmental about it.
No, I really like the non-judgmental part. Here's the thing about this movie before we even get into it that I did like.
Yeah.
Before we even talk about the poster, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the poster.
It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But weirdly, there were relationships that were built into it that were more interesting and that I enjoyed a lot more than anything dealing with the werewolf. Mm-hmm. Like, I really liked the buddy friendship between the head French detective and our friend Peter Cushing.
Yes.
Because they genuinely come across as buddies, like good friends.
Here's something I thought during this movie, because I agree. I really like him and that dynamic, and basically any scene where it's just Cushing or Cushing interviewing people, I think is great, because, yeah, it is starting to veer into his Sherlock Holmes stuff a little bit, but, yes, a distinctly different character at the same time. I thought this movie could have benefited from the whodunit mystery of Beast Must Die. Because the biggest problem with this movie is we know every single answer to every clue that Cushing is looking for right from the start.
Which totally deflates that balloon, because he doesn't show up till like the mid part, really, of the movie. And then to see him go into detective mode should have been much more exciting. It's just that you're exactly right. We as the audience already know the answer to everything. And so therefore, why are we following these steps? We don't need to follow these steps. It's just for his character to follow those steps. No, it should be for the audience to have some questions.
He shows up like a half hour, 40 minutes into the movie, and we already have seen a werewolf at this point, and then he doesn't realize it's a werewolf until like an hour 10. So you're like, whoa. You're just like, yes. You're almost going like, yes, finally, Peter Cushing, it's a werewolf. Like, Cushing needed to be the audience surrogate here. Like we needed to be following him, and also they also then could have thrown in some red herrings and stuff like that. Like I said, glom the whodunit murder mystery of Beast Must Die into this, and I think if you just combine those two movies, you'd have an infinitely better werewolf movie. And
also
I might be writing that right now. Not kidding. I'm actually writing a whodunit werewolf movie.
I can't wait to read it. But
I'm having a lot of fun writing it.
Don't hire this guy to be your werewolf either, because this guy. David Rintoul.
Yeah. I did do a little research. I recommend, if people are interested like I was about Tyburn films, you can go to a website called moviesandmania.com, and they have a whole article called Tyburn Films, a short-lived British horror production company.
They were British, okay.
That just dives through the short-lived run of, because they didn't make very many movies.
Right.
Their first, I realized I have seen another Tyburn film, and that is also a Peter Cushing vehicle. The Ghoul was them.
Oh, I have seen that too.
It's not great.
No.
Cushing's great, and also you've got a young John Hurt in that too, who's wonderful in everything. But yeah, they and then this was the next one after that. By the way, the original title of this movie, Plague of the Werewolves.
Yeah, that wouldn't have done anything either.
No. And they talk about like the Ghoul was basically just Hines recycling his script for The Reptile. And this is just him recycling his script for Curse of the Werewolf. So basically, he was just like, yeah, sure, you want to pay me? I'll just take some of my old Hammer shit and slap some new names on it and change a couple things up. But, yeah, everybody here...
It does have that feel. It does have the feel of, well, you want to do Hammer again, but we really don't have the energy to bring anything to it other than what we've already done before. So, sure.
Yeah. And they do not have nice things to say about this or the Ghoul.
Man, I wonder why.
And the failure of this basically broke the studio. Because they were planning, oh man, if only, they were planning, their next movie after this was supposed to be Dracula's Feast of Blood.
With a title like that, how could it have ever been bad?
Yeah, that was in development and then shut down immediately after this movie bombed hard. They did in 1984 make a TV movie called The Masks of Death, where they brought Peter Cushing back as Sherlock Holmes. Considerably older Peter Cushing, obviously.
Yeah,
this was 1984.
I wonder if they worked his age into the plot, like as an explanation, like, oh yes, this is elderly Sherlock Holmes doing one of his last things.
They don't.
Because I hate when they pretend like he's classic when he's clearly 95 years old.
Let's see. When Funny decided to go with an original story. Oh, an original story that would explain Holmes' advanced age. Cushing was 70 at the time of filming.
Okay, all right, good.
So, now I want to see that, though. Actually, to be fair,
okay,
because I just want to see as much Cushing as Sherlock Holmes as I can get. I always loved him in that part.
Yeah, he's a very good Holmes.
Let's talk about this poster, which is absolutely wild.
I will say this.
Yeah.
If the movie had been this poster, I'm on board.
It's very psychedelic.
It's very psychedelic. It's very Warren Magazine's kind of 1970s comic book horror looking.
Yeah, I know it needed to. Here's the thing about this movie too. It's just no damn fun. And this poster promises you it's like, there's a werewolf on the loose and Peter Cushing's got to stop him, is what this poster is telling me.
Yep.
And I'm like,
that is not what
that would have gotten me, that they would have gotten my money. I would have gone to the theater on this poster.
It's a pretty cool, almost Bill Sinkovichian inked drawing of. It's actually close to the makeup, but it's making it look so much better.
Yes, it is. I want to see this werewolf on
you've
screen.
Got werewolf face right there, full and center.
Yeah.
Lit from one side
thing
with green light and lit from the other with just white, so it's white and green.
Look at the fangs on this guy.
The fangs are huge, man.
You're like, oh, he's gonna tear some people up in this movie.
Yeah, the fangs are huge. They're orange, just like the logo, and the eyes.
Yeah, which is great. It does have a very Halloween, vibe to it. Not the movie series, the actual holiday.
Yeah, no, it is true with that bright orange and the bright green there.
Yeah, exactly. And Cushing's got some orange and greens lighting on him over in the right hand side there.
Yeah, it's a good drawn rendition of Peter Cushing.
It's nice.
Making it look like he is your main protagonist. You just don't get him for fucking long.
Especially when it says Peter Cushing in Legend of the Werewolf. And this is weird because once Cushing comes into the movie, he does become the main character, and the werewolf character basically disappears in terms of us following
disappears
him.
Except for showing up occasionally pining after a prostitute or sex worker, as I should say.
That relationship doesn't work at all.
No, it doesn't.
And it's kind of the crux of the whole movie from an emotional
standpoint. They're trying
to
make, another Romeo and Juliet doomed thing similar to Curse of the Werewolf, where you're supposed to be rooting for these two to get together. And
the problem is, this movie does so many weird things too.
But when I look at David Rintoul, who does play our werewolf,
and it says here, and introducing David Rintoul as the werewolf. The werewolf. It's like Jerry Mathers as the beaver on this poster, and David Rintoul as the werewolf.
Oh, wait, that's not it. But anyway, yes, he's terrible. And then I looked at his IMDb, and he had a long career.
Oh, why?
So I can only assume this was very early in his career. It's possible he got much better.
I mean, he was introduced here once again as the...
No, this wasn't his first thing. They did say introducing, but he did something before this.
Sure, yeah, but... oh my God! I literally just the other day saw this guy in a movie because I just watched the movie The Protege the other day with Maggie Q and Michael Keaton, and I guess he was in that. I mean,
must have been ancient because that was from this last
that was
year.
yeah, exactly. I'm looking.
Oh my God, he played.
I am seeing him in Game of Thrones here.
Well, yeah, but I jumped down to The Crown. He in that most recent season of The Crown from 2019.
Shit, he got better, man.
I guess he must have gotten much better because he is crap in this movie.
He's really bad here.
I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah,
he's crap.
Does a lot of video game voice acting, I see too. That's a good gig.
Well, I don't begrudge him his success. It's just a Jesus.
I mean, he played Mr. Darcy in a 1980 miniseries of Pride and Prejudice. I can't picture this guy as Mr. Darcy.
Me either.
I've never seen this version. There are like a million versions.
There are a million.
And I've seen some.
In the 90s, he had a series called Dr. Finlay where he was the lead. He was Dr. Finlay, and that ran for 3 years.
Wow. I will say they are not wrong in introducing him. This was his first movie role. He'd been on some TV stuff before this.
All right, man. I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah.
It's not my way.
And it looks like a lot of his career has been on TV, which, no slight against that by any means. I love TV. But yeah.
You heard it here first. John Campbell despises TV.
Yeah, can't stand it. I don't
Send
even
your
own
emails
a TV.
in right now.
How am I
Tell them
watching,
what you think.
How am I even watching these movies? I don't even own a TV. Anyway, yeah. And then one of the weirdest things is just added in here for more gothic horror. And technically there is a hanged guy in the movie.
Yep.
Briefly. But they put that front and center. And then there's like a caped gentleman in a top hat walking underneath it, which is also a thing.
Which could be the showman who does wear a top hat from the beginning of the movie, who does in fact encounter the hanged man, but he's not.
But it could also be one of the murder victims who also were dressed like that coming out of the whorehouse. So I don't know.
You mean the sex worker house?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. The only tagline that's listed here is a Tyburn tale of terror. They were really trying to brand this shit.
Wow. It's pathetic how that didn't work.
And it's particularly funny now that I know this was the movie that ended it for them.
There's another thing though where it's not necessarily a bad idea. Like, okay, Hammer went down. Those people were talented though. Let's get them.
Let's just keep it going.
But I can only assume that this must have had no budget simply because Freddie Francis was not a great director, but his films before this looked better. This looks like shit.
Even the dregs of Hammer look way better than this. Look way more polished.
Now true, I didn't see a great print of it, but still.
Oh no, I can't imagine an
atrocious
transfer of it. To be fair, because I don't think this movie is available many places. It doesn't seem like this is out there that you can own it even.
The one that I pirated, and did you watch yours on Daily Motion?
I watched mine on YouTube.
Okay, well, I did a search for it after I watched my pirated one.
Yeah.
And saw that on Daily Motion. I started up. That one looked better. And its credits were in English.
Oh.
The one that I pirated is the English film,
mine
but
was
the
in
credits
English.
were in German.
Mine was in English, so I guess we watched different versions, but still, mine looked like a very shoddy VHS transfer of it.
Well, good luck to you guys out there if you decide to track this down. I mean, it's easily found, but apparently your versions are going to be slightly different.
Don't do that, though, because it's not a good
movie. No, not worth it at all. Jesus.
No, this is not available.
Spoiler alert.
This is it was only released on VHS. It was never put to DVD even.
That is not true.
Was that not true? Where am I?
It was released on DVD, and I think 2017 by, I think it was called Creepy Features or something. I saw that when I was doing my searching around. Or 2007 or something. So literally decades later, someone finally put it on DVD, and it's some knockoff label.
I see that here. It's not even. I'm on the Amazon for it, which has the VHS, but then it has a DVD currently unavailable. Not Amazon, not any of the outside sellers have it, and the company you're thinking of is Cheesy Flicks Entertainment with
Cheesy Flicks. Thank you, Cheesy Flicks
with a Z. And I am not kidding. I interviewed with this company for a job years ago,
and you didn't get it.
I was unable to make the scheduling work, but I was going to be, because they also produce movies. I was going to work on one of their schlock zombie movies, and it ended up not working out for me. Which is
man, I'm sorry.
I'm okay.
You moved past it. You're stronger now. You're stronger.
Yes, I was going to work on a movie called Stripperland, which was like Zombieland, except all the zombies were stripper zombies.
Wow, if there's anything sexier or more terrifying than zombie strippers, I don't know it.
I did eventually see a trailer for the movie and went, yeah, probably better my name isn't anywhere on that thing.
You definitely would have come up with some sort of pseudonym, wouldn't
Yeah, I would have been John Elder. I'd have a tribute to the beloved Anthony Hines.
you? John Younger.
There it is, yes. Not like my father, John Elder.
There you go.
But, yeah, Legend of the Werewolf.
So, it starts. We're in a forest.
Yeah. It does start, but it starts with, we've got Peter Cushing telling us the tale of a boy raised by wolves.
Yeah,
All of a sudden I'm going, for half a second I did go, did we get duped again?
Me too. I was worried.
When the boy's raised by wolves, and I'm going like, is this just going to be Tarzan with wolves?
This opening is, even with the music and the fact that Peter Cushing is engagingly telling us this, but the tone he's using is like, I'm telling children a fairy tale.
Yes.
And so it starts like folklore. It's like, well, it's been said that many years ago, like wolves, first it shows a bunch of Romani, of a bunch of gypsy folk,
which
I
like the inclusion of that, because that we associate with a lot of these werewolf movies. Doesn't really play into the movie in any way.
No, not at all.
Other than it's just like, well, we got to if it's a werewolf movie. Let's see if we can stick them in
it's
there
like
somewhere.
These people kept being driven out of different countries because they were different and not from there. So life was hard for them.
My first thought was,
oftentimes they were attacked by wolves.
My first thought when they said they're being driven out, I'm like, oh my god, it's like a
werewolf clan.
Yeah, werewolf clan. Exactly. I thought they're being driven out because they're monsters. Now that would have been a better movie probably.
John, stop trying to make the movie better. Just go with the flow, man.
It's my biggest problem. I'm always trying to make these things better. I can't turn that off because often there are good ideas even in these worst movies, which we already talked about here. Like this Cushing character, that'd be a great protagonist for a werewolf movie.
Yes. That wasn't the case here.
No, it's just
they wanted us to really invest in Etoile.
Yeah, and I will say, starting from this beginning, I'm going, I wonder how Peter Cushing's going to fit into this plot.
Well, I also at the beginning was afraid. I was like, he has a character name, but is he only going to narrate this motherfucker? Because he doesn't show up for so goddamn long.
Yeah, it is. I'm going like, oh boy, where is he at? When it was like, when are they going to get to Peter Cushing?
But essentially, as the people move on through the snow, there's a husband and wife she's very pregnant. They duck into a cave. She gives birth, and they hear the howling of the wolves.
Yeah.
And Peter Cushing is telling us now, normally a wolf will just eat, someone that's lost or weak, and they'll do that. But sometimes they'll take care of them, and so they take care of the baby. I'm like, well, that's nice. And in my head, I'm thinking, does that mean they just eat the parents? And it's true.
Yeah.
I love how they're trying to make it like this sweet tale of the wolves take care of this human infant. It's like, yeah, but they first totally killed the mom and dad and ate them.
And so he's raised by the wolves, and then Peter Cushing says, and his tale became legend. Boom! Legend of the Werewolf comes up.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Not bad. I actually that made me at this point I'm going like, all right, okay, movie, all right.
Yeah. You promised a Legend of a Werewolf, and I believe you're about to deliver.
Yeah, that is one of the most exciting things that will happen in the whole movie, unfortunately. Is that go to title. So then we cut to very spooky, a hanged skeleton hanging on the side of the road here. Oh no!
Warn a guy before you bring that up, because I was
so
scared
spooky.
again.
No, Vincent Price is in. I wish he was in this. It's a werewolf, I tell you, Peter. He keeps calling him by his real name, not his character's name. It's weird.
Yeah, he did that on most of his films.
Yes, Peter Cushing, tell me more about the werewolves.
I know this is supposed to be make 'em up, But I just want to call you by your name.
By the way, have you read this book? Call me by your name.
The themes are downright spooky.
Yeah, so they pull over this wagon driven by it's a circus, traveling circus wagon.
Yeah.
Pulls over in front of this thing, in front of this hanging guy. It doesn't have anything to do with anything other than to add a little bit of spookiness to it, I guess, the hanged.
Well, it's actually kind of brutal where the I guess the what do you call him? The showman, the head of the thing.
Yeah,
he gets out of the cart and he yells to the cart driver, assistant guy, goes, "Is there any flesh on it?"
Yeah,
and he goes,
that's right.
"Oh no!" And he's like, "Ah, damn it! I was gonna feed it to our fucking dogs."
Damn it!
I'm like, "Wow, okay."
And so he sends that guy out to go hunting then, because he goes out into the woods. This wagon driver with a rifle.
Yeah, he's like, "Go get us something for dinner, and the wife will cook it up or whatever."
And so this guy lines up a shot on this rabbit, but just before he can pull the trigger, Wolf Boy comes into the picture and starts eating this rabbit.
There was a TV show in the 70s I used to watch, which was Lycan, which was the Wolf Boy show.
Yeah, I'm vaguely aware of it.
It didn't last long.
No, that's why I'm vaguely aware of it.
It felt like it was trying to be a more serious Bigfoot and Wild Boy, but it failed.
Yeah, America said, no, thank you.
Yeah, if it's not on Saturday morning, I don't want to see a Wolf Boy. Thanks.
Yeah. Wolf Boys are better left on the weekends.
Pretty much.
Yeah. This is not prime time material. So he grabs that, and then I do love this driver guy. He's just like, what? What is all this?
You got my dinner!
Yeah. And he goes up to the Wolf Boy, who bites him.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh shit, this guy's going to become a werewolf now.
Man, you're just too many steps ahead of this.
And then I love him just smacking this kid. Open palm sends the Wolf Boy to the ground.
Well, even better, he fucking shoots the kid in the leg.
That's right. Because this is I'm sorry. Before he bites him, he kind of absent-mindedly shoots him. The way the guy plays it is he's like, "What's going on? Oh no!"
Yeah, it's sort of like, what's that thing over there grabbing the dinner I was trying to catch? Yeah. And he shoots before he realizes, oh, fuck, that's a kid.
Yeah. And so then when he goes up to see if the kid is alive, that's when the kid bites him, and this guy just smacks him with his meaty paw.
John, you're often drawn to scenes of abuse of children in films.
I am.
You seem to always respond to them.
I really do. Okay. I just feel like these kids have it coming.
I mean, did you see this kid?
Yeah. It once again reminds me of one of the best Garth Marenghi bits when it just cuts to Dean Lerner. He's like, I did strike one of the child actors in the scene. He was very rude about Garth's writing.
God bless that show. In fact, again, we've said it before. Don't watch this. Go out, and it's now on. Is it on Prime? It's on something.
It's on Prime and it's on Peacock, I believe.
Oh, great!
It's in a couple.
Watch
places.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place instead,
because
you'll thank us.
Absolutely. Instead of watching just these boring, bad horror movies, go watch a hilariously, purposefully bad horror show.
Oh God, it is a treat to humanity.
One of the funniest things ever made. So they bring him. He's just carrying the boy back over his shoulder now to the wagon. And
the kid's kicking, and again, we don't have to deal with him very long, but the kid actor's terrible.
Oh, awful.
And also, this is what I love about it.
Thank God the adult actor was so good. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no.
Anytime you see a wild boy or a Tarzan in the movies and their hair is cut, I just always go, dude, do a little research, okay? Because this kid has bangs.
Well,
his hair is longish.
Not even do a little research. Just do some thinking.
Just do some thinking. He's never seen scissors in his life. That matted hair should be down his back. God damn it!
Makes no sense.
Sorry, I'm angry.
Now I'm angry. We're still so early in the movie. But
I know.
Immediately, the ringmaster or leader here of the circus sees dollar signs with this kid.
Yeah,
and even declares he's a wolf boy.
He goes, well, is he a beast or is he a boy? And he goes, wait a minute. That works great. He's neither, and he's both.
And then they have paying customers going, look upon the wolf boy.
Well, I do love the fact that, I mean, it's terrible, but we do see his entire circus is laughably terrible.
He's got the wolf boy. He's got the Russian princess.
The Russian princess, who is his wife, who has tattoos on her, and that's the big thing. It's like, she's tattooed all over. You'll take my word for it, eh?
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah.
And you've got the doofy wagon driver is a one-man band.
Yeah.
And you have a dog that walks on its hind legs.
By the way, in my opinion, the star of the show, the dog who walks on its
hind
legs.
No, it's pretty amazing.
That's far and away the most impressive thing he's got to show here. Because we see him.
They would get your money.
Oh yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, you show me a dog walking on its hind legs, take my money.
I'm in. I'm in.
Oh, we also have don't need to hear anymore. And so they do a thing where he's poking at the boy with a stick and get him riled up, but we see them wink at each other because we're all in on the con now.
Yeah, the kid has fairly quickly become an honest-to-goodness member of the gang. They all love him. It's a sort of weird little family.
Once again, what the hell does this have to do with anything that happens later in the movie?
We see the socialization of a wolf boy.
Yeah, but couldn't he have just found his way to that zookeeper and that just be the simple...
Shut up, man.
Because I just thought also, why make this like this cute, lovable little wolf boy who's going to grow up to be a vicious werewolf that tears people apart and gets shot?
It makes the tragedy that much tragic.
Think that's what they're doing. But I would say one of the other massive problems with this movie is I have no read on this character.
Yeah,
who's supposed to be this tragic figure, because we've seen tragic werewolves. I mean, that's something I think works about the original Wolfman so well, is the tragedy of Lawrence Talbot. Where
I have something startling to say to our audience right now. Watching this film, as I did last night, I longed for Lawrence Talbot.
Yep. Same here.
I longed for him.
Same here.
But I would also have clearly taken Oliver Reed, because Oliver Reed was also great at being incredibly tragic.
Yeah, I think the problem is, because I see this guy is still alive who plays the werewolf here. Maybe we needed more of a boozy, clearly gonna like flame out and die kind of guy.
Well, we could have used someone that had some kind of built-in ferocity. Right. Or sex appeal, and this is just when he grows up, he becomes blandly handsome guy.
Like literally, I wanted him to grow up and just be like, "Ha yes, ha I am a man," and like it just is.
That's about what we get. Actually,
him tumbling really made me laugh, because when it does this cut to,
then he grew up.
Yeah, then he grew up. And the problem is, but also I still thought, why couldn't he still play the wolf boy? It was kind of an act at a certain point anyway.
They in the narration, it's made clear that the circus starts doing not so well, but because he grows up and can't be a wolf boy anymore, which I don't know why he couldn't be a wolf man, if you get my drift.
Right.
But they keep him around because he's family now. So he doesn't do anything but tumble. He's tumbling now.
This also made me think, but he's a tumbler now, and it made me think of the Family Guy thing. We're a tumbling act.
Yeah. Yes. But
because he is just like during this scene that establishes adult him, he is just tumbling back and forth. He's just rolling back and forth here as they're having this dialogue.
One-man band guy's like, "Oh, you with your tumbling ways."
Yeah, that's right. My act. I'm a tumbler. See. It's so silly.
It's shit. And
I mean, so we could end the podcast right there and just sum up the movie and it's shit. This thing's shit.
But also, here's
Folks,
the thing.
Don't watch it. It's shit.
Bugs me is that we do this, and I don't mind them jumping through time because I wasn't really invested in Wolf Boy.
Oh no! Get us to it. Get us to adult werewolf as quickly as possible.
We actually pretty much do.
Oh no!
Because
literally
almost immediately,
the next scene, according to my notes here, is
he's asleep in the camp.
Yeah.
They don't have much food or anything. There's some, I mean, they don't have much money. And they're all asleep in the camp. There are wolves howling in the forest, which makes him wake up, and he starts doing the he's sweating and turns into a werewolf, which we don't really see at this point too much other than furry hands.
Well, but what we do get is this movie's big signature bit, werewolf vision, and apparently, I didn't know this about werewolves. They see in blinding red. So much so that it obscures details and figures.
One thing I will say about this is that at the end of it, when the movie was over, I realized this wasn't so much a werewolf film where a werewolf kills multiple people, and he kills multiple people.
He actually racks
but
up
it's
one of the
more of
bigger
a movie
body
where
counts.
A red lens kills about 20 people in this movie. A red lens is merciless.
The werewolf gets about 5. The red lens gets, a lot more. Yeah, exactly.
You spend so much time in this movie through werewolf vision, and it's supposed to be kind of jarring, and instead you're just like, I feel bad for these actors having to go, red lens!
No!
And then blood at their throats.
And then the close-up of the bloody teeth.
Oh, yeah, the close-up, actually, that was pretty good. I didn't mind the close-up, but
that's fine if it was used effectively with some other shots. It would have been fine.
Yeah. Man, you're asking for so much of this movie.
I really am. It's that's the problem. It's my high standards.
Your high standards have ruined this podcast and ruined everyone's enjoyment of horror films.
We're trying our best.
Like, oh, there he goes with his fancy ideas again of plot and logic and characters you care about. He's on his high horse again.
He's talking about visceral action in scenes.
I do not know why these people are all Monty Python characters. Our listeners are all Monty Python characters. I don't know why.
We default to that so often. Oh dear. Yeah. Anyway, Tyburn, maybe a little bit more effort in the movie. That's all I'm saying. Wow, they're going to take that note really hard. Yeah, I mean, apparently so hard the studio goes out of business after this. Yep. But let's see here. Yeah, so he turns into the werewolf, and he kills the stagecoach driver / one-man band. Here's my question on this, is that he has been with them for, let's say, he was maybe 10, 11 when they found him? Yeah. Now he's supposed to be probably 19, so let's say 8 years. Yeah. Why is he just now turned into a werewolf? Yeah, the movie does not land on what makes him... Because I don't know how being raised by wolves turns you to werewolf either. Nope. That's the thing where it's like... That's why I thought it was going to be... the worst thing that Cushing has to do in this movie, and it is... Even in the hands of a master like Peter Cushing, the scene where he tries to say, well, is it so impossible? And uses the worst examples ever of, we've seen caterpillars turn into butterflies. We've seen tadpoles become frogs. That scene is just like you're going, what the fuck? We've seen kittens become full-grown cats. So was it so crazy a man could turn into a werewolf? Why, even I was a baby once. Yeah, it is painful. And I know that as an actor, he had to have sit there going, oh, God, Peter, let's get through this scene. Yeah. Let's just get through this goddamn scene. Let's see. Let me count up the money again. Okay, perfect. It's like, that'll pay until I talk to this Lucas guy. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting him ever closer to Star Wars. He's 2 years out from Star Wars at this point. He's almost there. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there, buddy. And I don't know what a moth was, but I was glad to be a grand version of it. It's one of my favorite parts of the Star Wars oral history that came out fairly recently. Is that quote from Cushing about, like, I don't know what anyone was saying. I just was like, so I'm in charge? Great. Great. I know how to do that. Perfect. So he kills this guy, and then it comes morning, and they're like, have you... I don't know the fucking name of anybody in this movie. It's like, have you seen Fine? Yeah. And he's like, I didn't see Fine. Well, and of course, our wolf boy is like, what? what happened?
Oh yeah, he's sweaty and discombobulated.
He's trying to do his
we
best
also
Lon Chaney.
don't get much of an idea of how much he knows about his own condition.
And I will continue to ask questions about that through the movie because I'll just say I don't need a werewolf talking.
That's one of the few original things it does. So I didn't mind that. Except for if that's the only time he did it. You're like, why wasn't he asking for help much sooner and from other people?
Yeah. I mean, look.
No, it doesn't work.
No.
I'm just saying that I've never minded. It's like The Fly. The scene at the end where someone's like going, I know I'm a monster. I'm trapped in this. Just kill me. Get it over with.
Sure, but I don't know. Werewolves usually I mean, unless it's Teen Wolf, which stay tuned for next season, everybody, because we will be talking some Teen Wolf.
I'll take that any day over this.
Oh,
Teen Wolf is a classic.
Oh my god, yeah. And actually, Teen Wolf.
Werewolves playing basketball. You have my money.
I haven't seen Teen Wolf in a long time, but it was a childhood favorite of mine. I loved Teen Wolf,
and I had a big crush on Boof, the best friend who's clearly meant to be with him.
Oh, I mean that's just 80s movie logic.
Mm-hmm.
Why, this whole time, my cute best friend. I've never once looked at her that way, but now she's perfect for me.
Yeah. Oh no, I was really attracted to the hot chick, but I ignored Boof.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, the ultimate example of that, one of my favorites, is Watts in Some Kind of Wonderful.
Oh, there you go.
Mary Stuart Masterson.
Yeah, come on.
Amazing.
What idiot didn't see past the short haircut and the overalls to see that that's a really adorable person?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Leah Thompson as the gorgeous rich girl. Okay, sure. But the idea that prior to this he had never once considered dating Mary Stuart Masterson. Okay, sure, Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, I think almost any platonic male-female relationship between straight people, you've just casually thought about, well, what if I dated that friend of mine?
Of course. I mean, there's a whole movie about this, and it's called When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, how does that end?
They get together.
But they do meet first?
The first they meet.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a whole thing with those two. Anyway, literally watch anything other than this almost, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, especially when we're talking about our boy Peter, but goddamn.
So they find the body of their stagecoach driver.
And his throat is all ripped out.
Yeah.
I mean, they show ripped throats in this movie, and I know that's a big thing for you.
No, I like that, and I do like that this is a werewolf with a high body count, but none of it matters. Like,
no.
And none of the people he kills are really characters.
I gotta say, when we get to the end where it is one long night of him just killing person after person, I'm just sitting there going, what? Again, that red lens has to be stopped. He just wanders the city and is like, oh, there's another person.
It all has no impact because they're just random townspeople. I don't know what any of these people are. What does it matter?
No. And we also never know who this guy is because this is a non-character.
But I wrote down, they find his body and then they go, oh no, wait, he's still alive somehow. And he's not speaking, but he's going, and he's pointing with his finger at the boy.
Yeah.
And then that's when he's like, well, that's my cue to get out of here.
Which implies, or at least I was thinking, like, oh, okay, so he does know that this was his doing and that he's a danger.
Maybe.
So he wanders off.
Possibly. I will say, it's a hard turn from the circus ringmaster who starts shooting at him as he's running away. And I just thought, boy, a wordless point from a dying man is enough to kill this person who was basically your son.
Yeah, I know. It's but apparently he had known that guy longer, I guess. Yeah. But he's just sitting there going, yeah, just the guy
you
dying. You
fucking killed Jerry?
And he's like, him.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Then
so
you die. Yeah, I just thought, well, that's a wild turn. Anyway.
Indeed.
Well, he's going to need a new gig, right? So luckily, he stumbles into a town and this weird little zookeeper in his weird little zoo.
Okay.
We gotta talk. Okay, this is one of the craziest performances
All
we've
right.
seen in any of the movies this season, really.
I do love Ron Moody.
Oh,
And we've talked about Ron Moody before.
we have, and Ron Moody, and he continues to give. Well, I don't know if he continues to give for that. Well, no, a little bit. Good performances.
Ron Moody is one of screen's greatest Fagans from the musical 100%.
Oliver. That's immediately what I associate him with.
And he was always a broad actor. I mean, it's part of his thing is that he is comedically sort of broad. Holy shit in this thing.
Yeah.
He is doing a cartoon as a living human being.
What am I? Yeah, the whole thing where you're just going like, okay. Once again, you're watching this movie for the first like 20 minutes or so, going, okay, it's gonna. I see, it's gonna do this kind of thing. Oh no, wait, it's gonna be this kind of movie. Then you get to Ron Moody, you're like, okay, I don't know what kind of movie we're in anymore at all. Then, because what is this? My God,
this performance.
It feels like Fagin, but way cranked up.
Yeah. And he is
easier and dirtier.
We are in Paris, apparently, which is hilarious because there's only like one person in the entire film that is a Frenchman.
Right.
Everyone else is speaking with British accents, including Ron Moody.
Mm-hmm.
He runs a rundown little zoo, and he walks out, and the first thing we hear is that the zoo's closed.
I will say, the accent is so thick in places, it is unintelligible here and there. It just,
yeah, he's like, hey, you want to come in and see the animals?
Yeah, you're like, oh my God. By the way, it's been a while since last season with Hammer, so I haven't been looking for this, but I can this time. Ron Moody did do 2 episodes of The Avengers.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well he should.
And a Starsky and Hutch 2-parter called Murder at Sea, which I don't offhand remember, but as I oft reference the shows I do have the complete box set of Starsky and Hutch. So
what you're saying is that you will probably be popping that in after we're done here?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go right to that 2-parter of Starsky and Hutch and see. I can only assume Ron Moody is the murderer that they're hunting down there.
What I hope is that, in that, as well as here, I hope that he also uses beep beep as just something he throws into his dialogue, as he does here to indicate sexual activity.
I don't want to take us on a tangent, but I do kind of. In this episode, after a ship's pursuer is murdered, Starsky and Hutch poses...
A ship's purser?
I'm sorry, purser. That's exactly right. Sometimes I read too fast. And I was like, I don't know. A ship's purser is murdered. Starsky and Hutch poses onboard entertainment directors Hack and Zach.
No. Well, you have to watch it. I mean, it's just begging you to watch it.
Yeah, they're making... Okay, again, let's see. What is this here? Is this late? Nope, season 2, episode 3. I thought this got to be late in the run. Nope. Like near the beginning of season 2.
Promise me they'll have an excuse for David Soul to sing.
Oh my God. I mean, they have to, right? As entertainment directors?
I would assume so.
What was his... I don't want to get in trouble with a... Don't give up on us. Isn't that his thing?
That was exactly it.
Yeah.
That was his big hit.
Yeah.
And then when they did the Starsky and Hutch movie, they had
Owen Wilson sing it.
Owen Wilson sing it, and he can't actually sing, so that made me laugh.
It was fun. I think that movie was pretty funny. It was unnecessary, but I got a chuckle out of that film.
I thought it was funny. It was similar to sort of, in a way, similar to the Brady Bunch type of thing, where they're like, it's modern day, but we're going to present these guys as for some reason kind of stuck in the 70s.
It's like leaning into the aesthetics of it too much to comedic effect. Like, we're going to go so hard. We're not trying to make the new Starsky and Hutch. We're going to make old Starsky and Hutch like extreme, like to the...
I will say that Will Ferrell's scene in the prison is one of the funniest things ever.
Because honestly, like some of Will Ferrell's best stuff is when he comes in for one scene, like in Wedding Crashers as well. When he can just come in and clean up like that.
Yeah. Oh, and is given free reign to come up with a bizarre character.
Yeah.
Again, similar to Zoolander.
Right. When he doesn't have to carry the movie and his weird impulses are rewarded, like, and encouraged. Good. Oh my God. Anyway, once again, anything to talk about anything other than that. But I will report back. I'm gonna watch that Starsky and Hutch, and I'll report back next week.
Please do. Etoile, the wolf boy, now man, has gone into Paris, has gone to this zoo.
Man, I mean, you talk about the luck. He needs a job, and he stumbles right into one here.
Right.
Because
well, first
he's
the guy
good
is saying,
with wolves.
yeah, the zoo's closed, but then the zookeeper sees that he has a remarkable rapport with the two old wolves that are in the cage.
You're awful good with animals, yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty good with those, eh? Beep, beep, you know what I mean? Beep, beep.
Do you think there was any directing given to Ron? I think they were just like, Ron, do whatever you want.
I think they literally ended every take with like, that's just gold.
Yeah. Classic
Gold,
Moody,
Ron.
Everybody. Classic Moody. Right there.
Classic Moody.
Another classic. Hey, you beep beep and such and whatever.
Like, I didn't even write beep beep in the script. He gave us that. That came out of Ron.
That's what you get when you hire a pro like Ron.
You step back and you let him do his work.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be a fool to get in the way of Ron Moody, really. When you have somebody with the kind of creative genius, yeah.
Again, we're mocking because his performance is batshit. At the same time, Ron Moody is pretty great.
I love Ron Moody, but it is... I mean, this strikes me of, well, this thing's a piece of shit, and nobody seems to care what I'm doing, so I'm going to play it to an 11 here, you know? He's just gonna...
I will also say that tone in this movie is a big problem because there are scenes like anything with him in it, or when we go to the sex worker house, that where they play, literally the score is like like they're going for like lighthearted comedy. And you're like, wait, am I watching Legend of the Werewolf or what?
Yeah, because oh my god, the juxtaposition between those scenes and then people having their throats torn out.
Yeah,
like literally
and then,
the next
scenes
scene.
of autopsy. Yeah, it's like,
and then Cushing's pulling people's organs out, and then he's going, "Oh, we're gonna do a bit of business with Ron Moody at the zoo." I do appreciate what I did, you crazy monkey.
Oh my god! So he ends up working at the zoo as like a
and we're saying
zookeeper.
Zoo generously. He's got a couple cages with some animals in them.
Yeah, there's like an old bear, there's an old tiger, whatever.
Yeah, and
monkeys.
I do sort of enjoy the just old, tired animals of the zoo. Like, God.
I do think they cast it well because those animals all look like they're threadbare and near death. We haven't talked about timeline either. We don't know when this is set.
No idea. No idea
it's 18 something or other.
It's got to be 1800s. Yeah.
It's like 1880s maybe. We're like maybe.
Because once again, the whole thing with like Cushing is the guy who's a little bit ahead in the science.
Right. Right.
So yeah, 1880s seems right to me, but also the movie could give a crap.
Yeah, it really doesn't give a shit.
It's the past is all they care about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not now. So
that's all you care about, right? That it's not now? Great. Moving on.
Because once again, if they're trying to crib from Hammer, then they're going like, oh, sort of vaguely Victorian era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, but it doesn't have what Hammer, because Hammer timelines also don't really make sense, but Hammer evoked this gothic feel where it was almost like, it's like a time and place that never existed to a certain place.
Right.
It's it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that comic book sort of otherworldliness of Hammer that I enjoy so much about those movies.
This doesn't have anything.
No, there's no personality or identity or flair or style in this thing. It's just like, what am I look? It really is just going like, we can keep making Hammer movies. Nope, we can't actually. Never mind.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, do you think they would have tried to get Christopher Lee for that Dracula movie?
They definitely would have.
They would have tried, man. Cushing, I'm sure, would have done it as Van Helsing.
And that would have made a lot of people happy, but it probably still would have been a shitburger because the people behind the studio apparently just... They ain't got nothing.
No, but Dracula's Feast of Blood, man. That sounds awesome. Yeah, a Feast of Blood.
I feel robbed.
Well, at a certain point, though, this was going to be called Plague of the Werewolves. So that title, then this movie would have made this even more disappointing.
Yeah, because how does that even tie in?
No,
it doesn't at all.
There's no other werewolves in this movie. It's just the one guy.
Right.
Like I said, when he bit the one guy, I thought, oh, he's going to become a werewolf now. No. Never mind.
No, he just ate him.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so now he's working there, and yes, a trio of pretty ladies come. I'm not going to
come to the zoo to have lunch.
I said pretty ladies, and I almost got us in more trouble by doing a show tune there, but I decided not to.
No, pretty women. That the one?
That's where I was going with that, exactly, yeah.
Okay, little Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Never a bad thing.
Oh, no. Oh, you talk about, once again, some kind of style that this thing needs. If there was a little bit of Sweeney Todd laid on top of this.
That is all I want. But we didn't get that either.
Sondheim never did write his Werewolf musical, unfortunately. And that, we're all the lesser for it. So these women come, and they're... what is the idea here? They come and have lunch in the zoo?
Yes, we don't know yet, and neither does Etoile.
Yeah.
But these are, in fact, sex workers.
Yeah.
But they're just taking their lunch break, and since it's apparently near their sex worker house, they come here for lunch. Yeah. Not all of their fellow workers do, just them.
Yeah.
And the thing I absolutely love about it, when we find out what they all do for a living, every time we have a scene with them, whether it's here at the zoo or back at the sex worker house, they are the most delighted and amused sex workers I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
They are constantly giggling. Everything's just amusing.
Absolutely.
They are having a great time all the time.
They are. And this guy likes taking a peek at the birds.
Yeah, the whole thing is every time they show up, the zookeeper guy, who doesn't really ever get a name. When I said that I liked
doesn't ever really. He's credited as zookeeper,
right?
And he's a major character.
He's a major character. I like the relationship between zookeeper and Etoile. It takes on this kind of parental son thing.
Sure,
and that's saying something, because again, Etoile is a nothing character played by a nothing actor, at least at this stage of his career.
Yeah. But don't worry, Ron Moody's acting for 4 in this thing, so
yeah, he's carrying everything. But every time they show up, he flirts with them in an innocentish way, like, "Oh, you ladies here to see the animals again?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, you know us." He's like, "Well, you can come in for 3 of you. It's 15 sous, usually 30 to all my other guests."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, that's sweet. He always gives us a discount."
And he's like, "Oh no, I'm a disgusting creature you never touch."
Yeah, he's like, but he always is like going, "Oh, you ladies have a good time, beep beep." Oh, and then he devolves into something that might be English, might not. And they go,
"Fellas, I made this shirt. It says beep beep." Well, I was thinking, what merchandise maybe when this thing takes off.
What's hilarious is I'm saying beep beep as if that's something that's even known at this time, but there's no motor vehicles, there's no horns, so where's beep beep coming from? I don't know. But
it's yet another thing that just doesn't add up in this movie.
And Roadrunner cartoons haven't been invented yet.
It'll be years before the invention of the Roadrunner.
So the 3 lovely ladies sit down, amused, eating their lunch, and Etoile is just taken with them, comes over, is like, "Hey, can I show you some animals?" They're like, "No, we've seen them all. We just come here to eat lunch." She goes, "Can I join you?" They're like, "Absolutely."
Mm-hmm.
And one of them has taken a shine to him, and he has taken a shine to her, and her name is what now?
Christine.
Christine. Just like Phantom of the Opera. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's basically
that's Lynn Dalby who plays Christine,
and she's not much of doesn't make much of an impression either.
And doesn't have a lot of credits. Looks like a lot of BBC television stuff. Here and there.
I will say they and this makes me sound creepy. They copied a lot from Hammer, but they did not go for that later Hammer. There's no, even though these are sex workers, there's nothing even slightly like hey. So she's not cast as like a Hammer beauty or whatever they call it.
It's actually, I was reading some of the user reviews, and a few point out their disappointment at the lack of nudity in this film, even though there was ample opportunity with those brothel scenes.
Well, I was kind of expecting it.
I was expecting it, but I love the idea of being like, what the hell, movie?
Yeah, it's 75, so if they were copying Hammer, by that point, the later Hammer stuff was pretty
Nobody's getting their kid off for a Tyburn movie though.
Kid off. There you go. Very British.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Hammer. Okay, yeah, maybe, but
I got what you're saying there, Johnny. Beep, beep. Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. Yeah, nobody's like, I'm not showing my bits in a Tyburn production, all right?
So they go away, and they're kidding Christine about, we think he likes you, and haha. And she's like, oh, I don't know about that. He. And then the zookeeper kid's Etoile is like, oh, you're taking a fancy to it. Well, they have to go back to work. And he doesn't say, because they're prostitutes who sell
later he'll further emphasize but not say what it is. Too.
Right. Later he'll be more explicit,
they go back,
sort of beep.
And then it's their madam, who at this point I was just calling their landlady because I don't know what their deal is. She's talking about.
Figure it out immediately? Come on.
Well, in this scene, I figured it out, but initially when the scene started, she's.
Well, they're like, "Where did you guys go see the wild animals?" And they're like, "Yeah, we did that." And they go, "You could have just stayed here. We see enough of them."
And I still have land. The madam is hung over.
Yep.
And going like, oh, I shouldn't have had all that. Anyway, let's open up some more champagne. Little hair of the dog kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down, Madam is Booze Hound.
And you meant the famous puppet that was worked by Waylon Flowers, right?
Yeah. I thought it was weird to cast that puppet in this part.
You girls need to sit down and blah, 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 blah. Oh, God, Madam. You're such a booze hound.
Once again, would have enjoyed this movie infinitely more if that was the case. True. That would have been some kind of life in this thing.
And I'd say 75 was probably around peak years for Waylon Flower and Madam.
Totally, yeah.
I think that they almost always had some square to themselves on Hollywood Squares.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somewhere they're doing a Carson panel appearance, you know.
Yeah.
But then we have some kids throwing rocks at the animals. Did not care for that. And don't care for something later. I do not like any violence against animals. Love it against people.
Well, that was the point of the scene, though.
It was, but it's just like, you pieces of shit, kids. And then, the guy comes out.
Wall jumps out and goes, and scares him off because he's a wolf boy.
That's right. I never did care for those kids.
I will say, the red lens left those kids alone. The red lens did not go after them.
It did. He scares them. Then, finally, we get to Peter Cushing. In a very Sherlock Holmesian introduction where he goes, well, they have written this death off as a suicide. I see here from my autopsy that it is clearly murder. Or it's an episode of Quincy, actually, is more accurate.
It is Quincy M.E.
Oh, my God.
1883.
Every episode of they thought it was accidental or suicide or natural causes. But Quincy knows it's murder.
I love the idea. I mean, we see that in every single detective show, but you sit there going, like with Perry Mason, you're like, I'm sorry, an attorney does not go out and solve the mystery.
No,
but the idea of the medical examiner going out and solving mysteries.
That one's really wild.
Book 'em. Wait, you have no authority, man. You're a
I said book 'em.
Did I stutter?
Yeah. He never did have a gun, but it would have been great if he was also shooting at people and stuff.
Yeah, it's like...
Quincy, God damn it!
Keep telling you,
but
you
also
cannot do this.
Also, he's really every other actual detective is so incompetent in that world because Quincy's always right about it being murder.
And they're like, I guess you proved it again. There, you're pretty good at what you do there, Quincy.
So ends what this podcast is ever becoming more of. John and Brendan talk 70s television. We've already covered Starsky and Hutch and Quincy this week.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming up next, Walton's Talk.
What was John Boy's deal?
I want to be a writer.
Yeah. It is. I will say, my only comment about the Waltons, it is insane in today's world of television to imagine that gentle, nothing happened show being on TV.
Yeah.
Like, it really was just about a quiet little family in the past.
Hey, there was occasionally, there was drama.
Yeah, but it was so easy.
Traveling salesman comes through town, tries to hit on Judy or whatever, one of the daughters.
I just remember, like, my dad loved the Waltons. We would watch reruns. I'd just be like, nothing happens on the Waltons.
Yeah, Little House on the Prairie, same thing. Started up around the same time.
These are just they're just so easygoing, too easygoing to even have drama.
Well, they were mild, and a lot of television back then was.
Yeah.
I mean, you spent 18 years watching The Incredible Hulk, which is one of the mildest superhero things you'll ever see.
Oh yeah, they never got too worked up on that thing. For a show
he threw
about
a couple people through windows.
Yeah,
the end.
He sure did.
He lifted the back end of a car a couple of times.
So let's see. Yeah, he solved the murder, but of course they're like, I don't believe you, Cushing, because you're a crazy futurist scientist.
Yeah,
I guess. Whatever. Anyway.
Well, he actually apologizes to the cop. He's like, I'm sorry to make more work for you, but it's murder. And he's like, I wish I could disprove your wild science, but you know what? You do know best.
This is where, have I stumbled into the pilot for a BBC series? Because I'd rather watch this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. I like those two. I like the French head of detectives.
They have
and
a
his
dynamic. I could easily imagine watching these guys each and every week.
Yep. I'm down.
Yeah, it does feel like all of a sudden we're in a nice little procedural.
But somewhere there's a werewolf out there.
Yeah. Then also there's a werewolf. So here the ladies return, and our wolf boy. I will not say his weird French name that it's not weird. I'm not gonna.
And I don't even know what that means, but at least the characters, supporting characters like the sex workers, hear his name and go, "Really? That's an odd name." So it must mean something that is not a name. Maybe it means like
Etoile means star.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's weird.
Yeah. That's what it means. I don't know. Anyway, it means star. But he's made her like a brick of cheese?
Yeah, because when they come back for lunch again, he's happy to see them and he's like, "I brought you cheese."
Well, he hands it to her. She goes, "What is it?" He's like, "Cheese." And even I went, "Oh, okay." And once again, I was watching a shitty VHS transfer, so I couldn't really make out what it was.
I like the way you the voice you gave him there. Cheese. Made you some cheese.
What does it look like? It's cheese.
Also, I'm a wolf boy.
That do anything for you?
Yeah.
So she seems to like the cheese.
Yes.
He can also.
He's clearly falling for her, and she likes him. But I think they at least do set up the thing of her going, "Well, this could never be," but still, it's nice.
Yeah. Also, because of his wolf powers, he can sense it's about to rain.
Yeah. He's like, "Well, it's gonna rain soon." They're like, "How do you know?" He goes, "Well, I know it, and they know it." He points at the animals.
Yeah. And he goes, "Quick,
okay,
get in the wolf cage with me to protect you from the rain."
Yes. He's like, "If you come with me in the wolf cage, you won't get wet." And they're like, those are wolves in there." He goes, "They never hurt me."
Look, we've all tried the just get in the wolf cage out of the rain trick with a lady, right?
No, actually, I used to do that with the gorilla pen. Just it's similar. It's just a different take.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're gonna get soaked unless you join me in the gorilla pen. I don't know why I don't go on more dates.
I can't figure it out either. It's baffling. So anyway, another just weird scene. This is the part of the movie where I'm just going, what is happening? Like,
yeah. It does rain and the women do get wet.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, he was right."
Mm-hmm. So then the zookeeper is paying him, tries to short him at first.
Yeah.
"Oh, I guess I miscounted."
"No, please don't kill me, Red Lens. Beep, beep."
But he goes, "What are you gonna do with all that money? Beep, beep." I like the casual beep beeps.
Yeah, as if it's just a tick. It works its way into all of his conversation.
Good morning, beep beep.
Well, he does indicate like you got to go out on the town, you're gonna get crazy, and he's like, I want to take out Christine on a date,
and he's like, oh, don't you know? Well, you say you may not. He's like, it doesn't matter to you what she does,
right? And he goes, well, she works in the house, so she cleans houses. Oh, this
like,
poor idiot.
That's what you think it is? And it's like, you're gonna be pretty mad when you find out. Like,
yeah, it's like, why don't you tell him right now instead of letting him go to the sex worker house?
She's a prostitute, beep beep.
She goes rumpy pumpy for the money. Hello.
I guarantee you, there was a lot more shot with this guy.
Oh, no doubt.
He was doing all kinds of bits. Hang on, I got another take here. I want to try something on this one.
Ron, we know you do. Thank you, Ron. Yeah. We know you do, but we're good.
Yeah,
we're good for now.
I still got more.
No, moving on. We're losing the light.
Yeah, Ron. They were just shooting whole mags of film. They're just Ron riffing. There's a 2-hour cut of this movie that's just zookeeper footage.
And this is a dumb thing. It's not even clever, but this movie being so empty, basically, anything that I thought was halfway clever, I gave some props to. There is a sort of touching relationship between zookeeper and Étoile, and anytime zookeeper approves, he goes, "Good boy."
Yeah. Good boy, beep beep.
Like he's talking to a dog. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's clever. He is a wolf boy.
Yeah.
So he pats him on the head basically and says, good boy.
Yeah. Once again, we could have saved all that circus shit, though, at the start and just had him be raised by the zookeeper.
Man, you're taking away some of the best parts of this movie if you lose that opening.
Then this relationship would actually work a lot better in that situation. But
sure.
Because then it would be like, yeah, boy, and I.
And it's true.
Him.
He never kills his adoptive father here. He never kills the zookeeper.
No, he should, but I mean, just not. He not because the but it just seems like logic would dictate in the story that would happen.
Right.
So he goes over to the brothel and knocks at the door. He's like, I want to take out Christine, and the man's like I don't think you know what is going on here. Goodbye.
Yeah, she slams basically the door like, oh, you weirdo.
And then he hears giggling and such up in an
because they're constantly giggling.
Yep.
Again, these sex workers are delighted all the time.
When Cushing asked for directions to the brothel later, I did want somebody to just go, oh, just follow the giggling.
Yes.
Got it. And so he climbs up, like a creep. Onto the roof to peer in her window and sees her with this guy.
Yeah.
It does not appear rapey to me in the way he is incensed about it.
Oh, no. I mean, the whole thing is, and no, it's not. It's it's like
that's his argument
giggling.
Later.
It's like, this is a frequent customer of hers, and she's like, oh, here we go.
That's what it is, but the way he presents it is like, he was gonna,
Well, because he's never seen this, and he's never experienced physical pleasures with a woman. So in his eyes, wolves, this is a guy
not with a woman.
tackling. He saw her as an innocent, a pure being like himself.
Yeah, no wonder.
It enrages the wolf in him, John.
Oh, yeah, I know, because I thought it would be pretty stupid if he jumped through that window, and then he does that, of course.
He totally does that, and then he throttles the wealthy man.
Yeah. Then
she's saying, no, you don't understand. Yeah. Stop. Don't hurt him.
And the madam starts bashing him over the head with like an umbrella, it looked like to me.
Something like that.
Yeah. And she's like, that's it. I'm calling the cops. And the wealthy guy goes, oh, no. No cops. Yeah. No cops, please.
Yeah. You know what? No, thanks. Yeah. I am married and wealthy and known.
And they're like, well, okay. Well, and then she goes, I hope this incident hasn't, lessened your interest in coming back to our place of business later.
Yeah. Oh, no, of course not. You'll see me again.
Where else am I supposed to have my illicit sex?
I'll be back, beep, beep.
It's just an affectation of everyone from this town.
Yeah.
uh,
Uh,
and so yeah, they throw him out, and then later the next day, Christine comes to see Wolf Boy in the barn here at the zoo, and she's like,
Right.
"You had," and by the way, completely justified everything she tells him. You had no right to be there. You had no right to crash into my
very
bedroom. All of this stuff, and she's like, "Don't, you don't understand my situation. You only think you know me." It's like, I was orphaned. I was selling myself on the street, and this madam is taking care of me and making sure I'm safe, and it's much better than what my life was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his
Actually,
response
very
is...
progressive approach to sex work.
Yeah, his response is, "Why don't you marry me?"
Yep.
To that. That's a wild turn.
And then she says yes. They marry, and the movie ends. I was stunned.
I thought there'd be more with the werewolf thing, but the movie never addresses it again. Very strange.
It does, over the end credits, show you a red lens walking away into the distance after the wedding. Like, it looks sad.
And it played that Incredible Hulk music, even though the Incredible Hulk doesn't exist yet.
Yep.
That show won't be on for another couple of years. No, she's like, "Oh no, there's a lot of reasons why that wouldn't work." And then he is just like, "Well then, God damn it!" Like in classic fashion, he's then pissed at her because he's like, "Well, why won't you marry me? We only met the other day." Oh.
You constantly surprise me, John.
Yeah.
You stayed up all night perfecting.
I
that
really
impression.
did. I really did.
Why won't you marry me? I can't.
I have it on my resume now. Dead on David Rintoul impression. You can use that. I had a lot of requests for that.
You'll never get a single request for that, John. Ever. You never will.
Let me ask you this: Can you do a Rintoul? Do you have a Rintoul?
Weirdly enough, got it in my back pocket. Always have it ready just in case.
Here goes, David Rintoul. "Why won't you marry me?" Come
Try
on.
to picture this middle of Legend of the Werewolf, and everyone just nods because they know exactly what you're about to do.
Absolutely. Everyone can call up this movie. Oh,
Like,
the marriage proposal scene? Yes, indeed. I will be playing. Perfect. And then he just immediately that night, of course. Here's the thing. They tie the wolf stuff to the full moon, but they also... Yeah, well, Cushing puts that together, right?
Right.
But then the movie also makes it seem like it's very emotion-based, because after this rejection and he's all mad, he turns into a wolf and kills a guy outside of the brothel, which made me go, "Oh, so this is more like an Incredible Hulk take on werewolves." But then later they're talking about full moons. I'm just going, yeah, you got to figure this shit out.
Both. Maybe emotion brings it up if there's no full moon. It's like a full moon will do it involuntarily.
Yeah.
But the emotional thing could make it happen even on a non-full moon.
You're really bailing this movie out with that explanation, but yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I'm here to help this film. I wish it would let me in. I'm here to help.
I've come to bury this movie.
I've come to praise it. This is weird.
So this is where we get the red lens again, and this guy, this fancy man in a top hat and cape and tuxedo coming out of the brothel. It's all
isn't it the same rich man?
yes, I believe it is. Yes. And,
he's targeted him because he had the audacity.
And this red lens gets him good. And yeah, this is where we see the close-up of the bloody teeth and the guy falling to the ground.
The red lens does blood. This dude in.
He is donezo. And then he also takes a couple more people out, too, just randomly on the streets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of random
I will say, once he's
killing.
in Paris, he's like, that wasn't enough for me. Who else out there?
You! Why not?
Daddy's hungry.
Yeah. Because we then cut to Peter Cushing going, this appears to be the work of a wolf. Must be some sort of escaped wolf. Because somebody's like, wolf.
Guy goes,
There's
there
no
have been
wolf.
wolves in Paris in decades.
And it's like, it's like, well, maybe it was an escaped wolf from some kind of zoo. And then it's like, oh, zoo. Well, I know where there was a zoo. And then also they say the scene just ends with them going, "Yeah, we got a couple more bodies for you." And I just wrote down like, "Well, I guess bodies are just piling up in this town."
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So then it's the next morning, and the zookeeper finds our wolf boy, who is doing his best Lon Chaney Jr. I'm shaking and sweaty, and he's like, "Oh, what's got you all down then?"
Well, he's like, "Oh, did you party too much?" He's like, "Oh, you hungover? Is that it? Oh, you're a young man. Yeah, I know what that's like."
So anyway, Peter Cushing swings by the zoo because now that he has the idea about maybe the wolves being responsible for escaping from the zoo, and he's like, "Yes, I just wanted to inquire about these wolves. It says here they're quite dangerous." They're like, "Oh no, they're not dangerous at all. They're really old, and their teeth are actually
This is where a zookeeper basically lets Peter Cushing in on his secret, which is all of my animals are very near death.
Yeah,
they're all very threatening.
Love Peter Cushing's reading of. So even though the sign says very dangerous, you're telling me that these wolves are utterly harmless?
Yeah, he's like, with their fangs, they couldn't even bite through a meatball.
Yeah.
Beat.
And so he's like, in fact, none of these animals are dangerous. And then Cushing's on his way out, and he passes by Christine. Nothing comes of this, but we just have characters who pass by each other.
Well, it makes it kind of funny later on when he is doing the detective thing, and he's putting it all together. And he has met all the major players.
Yeah.
And yet, there still seems to be some surprise where he's like going, oh, that prostitute who I've talked to before. And this guy that worked for the zookeeper and apparently had a crush on Christine.
All of this might be at least mildly exciting if we didn't know the answer to literally everything that's happening and why. Because, Cushing continues on the investigation, and the inspector guy is going, "Hey, just remember, you're not a cop. We don't know what's going on. So just watch yourself. Whatever, he's going to keep investigating."
Yeah, it's kind of like, it is like Quincy. It's like, that's not your job. And he's like,
it's 1800s Quincy.
Yeah, he's like, if you're determined to go out and do some solo investigating, watch yourself.
At a certain point, by season 3 of Quincy, wouldn't the cops be like, "All right, Quincy, what do you think happened?"
Yeah, I think they should just start coming to Quincy immediately.
It does seem like. Also, Quincy, we
haven't solved the mystery in 5 years.
Also, Quincy,
you solve all of them.
Quincy, I lost my wedding ring. Any idea where that might have gone? They just start going to him with anything because he's such a brilliant detective. Got anything on that, Quincy? I don't.
Why won't Christine marry me? Well, it's probably because you're a werewolf.
Yeah.
And she's a sex worker.
I've really got to get back to these autopsies.
Relationships between the two hardly ever work out. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, Quincy also a great counselor as well. Who knew? So Cushing goes and buys a drink for the zookeeper and takes him to a bar, and he's like, because hang on. Yeah, because the thing he finds in the investigation is all of these guys had meetings right one after each other in their pocketbooks.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, stacked meetings on top of each other. I wonder what they could be. And he somehow puts together it must be a brothel.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how he reaches that conclusion.
Because he's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
God, why do we have to spell this out for you?
It's a deduction only Adam West Batman could make. But yeah, then that means... But I don't remember there being a lot of brothels on that show, though, to be fair. Robin, it's probably the penguin at the whorehouse. That didn't happen.
I believe that the Madam Miss Kitty is none other than Selena Kyle.
Catwoman? Yeah. It's always that, Catwoman. He makes a meal out of every syllable, man.
Yeah. But it also sounds like he's constantly ejaculating.
Oh, yes. It does sort of have that upper register to it. Yeah. Much like Charlton Heston's always in pain. He's just like, you damn dirty beeps. And someone's just like, God, it's killing him to get that line out. Oh yeah, he's this is where he goes to the zookeeper. He goes, do you know where one might find how shall I put this,
right,
what is this, like a house of entertainment?
Yeah,
and the zookeeper's like, oh, I'm on to you, Doc. I know, beep beep, what you're up to. You know,
he totally beeps in this scene too. People think we're exaggerating. You watch. You count the beeps.
Beeping all over this movie.
He's beeping all over.
And it's easy to count the beeps because they always come in twos. So 2, 4, 6, 8 beeps in this movie.
So zookeeper tells him where the brothel is. He goes.
Yeah.
This is where he has he's holding on to the little lace thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And he walks in and he's like, well, no, I'm not here for what you think I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm here for something kind of unusual, which is vague enough for her to look at the madam, to look at the lace thing and go, oh, well, we don't cater to your kind here.
Right.
And he goes, oh, no, you got it all wrong.
I'm not interested in sex. I'm only interested in science, damn it. But he says, I think these men who have been killed might be your clients. And she goes, well, I wouldn't know any of their names because they don't use their names here. And he's like, well, maybe you can identify them by looking at them. She's like, you want me to? And he's like, yes, come down to the city morgue and take a peek at these bodies.
This
sets into motion a needless section of the movie.
A very dumb, needless section of the movie.
Where he goes, like, she's like, well, I won't do that. And he's like, I may have an idea. And we have to go see him recruit a photographer.
Yes, he goes to a photographer, recruits him, and he's like, I need you to do something that's not in your studio. So and he goes, oh, okay, where is it? He goes, the morgue.
And this whole time, there's this guy in like a military uniform who has to stay still so he can get his portrait taken. And he's going like, and just like...
And again, the music's going... This is comedy.
There was never anything like this in a Hammer picture. Like...
they had plenty of like now we're going to listen to the innkeeper and his wife go, they never pay for their wine.
They did stuff. They did do stuff like that, but I don't know. They did. It still didn't feel like they didn't have like Van Helsing go and needlessly do a bit of business with a guy necessarily. It would be more like an aside with the people at the inn going, "Are you all hear about this werewolf?" Which
we'll say that in structure of the way this story is written and filmed, this actually felt as if like a perfect melding of. And unfortunately for bad result, but a perfect melding of Universal. Yeah. Like this has a very Universal story feel with Hammer because you will get the bloody throats and stuff like that. But it's not a good.
I agree with that. No, it's not good. It's not working.
But you're like going, wow, this would be a more mature Universal horror movie.
Yeah.
With a terrible lead actor.
So then we have to get the nervous photographer taking pictures of these dead bodies and being like,
it's like, oh, I can't believe it, and now expose the torn out throat. Oh, I'm gonna throw up.
Hilarious. I was laughing my ass off here.
Yeah.
So he then returns to the brothel with pictures, and it's one of those things where it's like, dude, just already have the pictures. We don't need a scene where he goes like, hang on, I'll get you pictures. We then see how he gets the pictures, and then only to return and ask about the pictures.
If this were a detective story movie and we're following him from beginning to end, maybe throwing that stuff in wouldn't. But we're just waiting for more red lens.
It really is like the filmmakers of this thought, we need him to show pictures to this madam, but since it's the 1800s, audience would be like, wait, where did he get those pictures?
They're going to be really tough on our logic.
So... And this thing, aside from this one picture thing, airtight, this movie. So,
this is really the only part of it.
So, they say, of course, they don't know any of the victims, but Cushing does see how Christine reacts to one of the photos. And he's like, I see, you don't know any of them, you know. He's onto something. And then the police issue an order to the zookeeper to kill the wolves he has.
Yes, even though, they are harmless, doesn't matter. These people are being attacked by wild animals, so there's only one place of wild animals
This is actually one of the most...
You got to kill the wolves.
This is actually one of the most realistic scenes in the movie to me, because the police are just like, well, we must be seen doing something about this.
Yes.
Yeah, even if
so they tell him he has to do it, and then zookeeper turns around and says, "You, Etoile,
this really, this didn't." And he's like, "Well, how am I supposed to do it? Bash their heads in." And I thought,
he's like, "We don't have a gun. You're gonna have to bash their heads in."
But then he goes, "Don't worry, I could put something in their food to make." I thought, why not just put something in their food that will kill them?
Yeah. Well, then you wouldn't have the really emotional scene of Etoile having to kill the wolves.
I didn't like any of this. Like I said, I didn't care for any of this. I like these wolves.
It's so weird. I slowed this part down. I did zoom ins.
Because the way they show these wolves like laying down and yawning, you're like, oh, look at the wolves. At least these look like wolves and they're not just somebody's German Shepherd this time. I will give them
Very
that.
true. These are actual wolves.
Yeah, I'll give them that. But still, pretty cute wolves.
They're adorable old skinny wolves.
Yeah. And so I don't like him having to, and we really have to linger on him bashing away.
Yeah.
Because
you're sensitive.
I know. Yeah.
When this scene ended, I stood up and applauded, and I said, "Way to go, movie!"
Yeah. Yes, that's for having the balls to do that in one of these movies. Finally.
And they really killed those wolves. They totally did that for reals.
I just wrote down bashing their heads in is only option for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's it. Well, we don't have a gun, so it's bashing the heads. Well, those were the only two options on the table? All right.
Apparently.
Anyway. Paul is distraught. Why did I write Paul?
Why did you write Paul?
Christine finds Paul distraught. What the hell was I watching? Anyway, he's distraught. I have no idea why I wrote Paul.
Maybe you heard Etoile and thought of Paul?
Maybe. I've just been calling him Wolf Boy in all my notes, but here I decide his name is Paul.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's super weird. I write these notes so quickly. I don't. But anyway.
So then Christine goes to see Reggie. Who?
I call him.
I don't know why I put Reggie in there.
Here, I call him a different name every time.
Wolf guy, Reggie. Nope.
I'm pretty sure it's Reggie. So he's
Which one of us watched this? I did.
Yeah. I think you missed all the parts when they were calling him Reggie. No, he asked for her help with his wolf. What is he asking for help here? Because they're gonna try. It seems like, because I thought, oh, this is gonna be the scene where they try to like chain him up or lock him somewhere, which is in the previous Curse of the Werewolf.
Very true.
And it kind of is that, except like she immediately leaves the room so she can't see him turn into the werewolf. And I think this is where we get the introduction of the hatch he uses to get down into the sewers.
Yeah, though they talked about it before. In fact, I will say this. Screenwriter John Elder set it up very early on, because Zookeeper goes, when he hires him at the very beginning, he goes, well, we don't get too many customers. We don't have so many animals. He goes, also, there's a bit of a pong around here in the summertime because there's a sewer right underneath that flows right underneath us.
Yeah. By the way, I just, looking on the IMDb here, I'm looking at the VHS cover for this movie.
And it says Paul, a werewolf.
The story of Paul, the werewolf. I'm looking at it, and there is another tagline that wasn't listed in the tagline section.
Ooh.
And that is, before you can scream, ... you're already dead.
All right.
That's good. I'd watch that. I will say, looking at this VHS cover, I would have definitely rented this movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
They did their job then.
But this is another perfect example where I just have so many questions about how much knowledge this wolf has, because this wolf is premeditating, I'm going to go down to the sewers. I'm going to sneak up. I'm going to That's why nobody ever sees this wolf.
I'm watching that going, well, he knows it's him. he knows he's killing people.
They'll never catch
and the
me.
werewolf is at least intelligent enough to go, look, I've got a perfect out right here. This is my escape hatch. I can go into the sewers.
Yeah. So he's doing he goes out on a rampage again while Christine's elsewhere. His turn to wolf is the classic universal dissolve.
Yeah.
In stages.
And this is where we finally see what makeup they're selling us on, and it's
just Oliver Reed's makeup, but a crappier version of it.
Yeah, it's a low rent version of what we've seen.
Because I think we were fans of the Oliver Reed makeup, if I recall, weren't we?
I love that makeup.
That's what I was. Yeah, I remember both of us liking that. Yeah, it's a good look.
It's different enough, and
I like that he's got the big barrel, like furry chest too, unlike the button up Lon Chaney look.
Yes, they had at least gone slightly farther than Jack Pierce had done.
Yeah,
in saying, look, we can actually give kind of a werewolf body here.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so
like I said,
they're doing
this is making me nostalgic for that movie. Where I'm going, oh, Curse of the Werewolf's pretty good.
It's all by comparison.
It is, because we also talked about like the whole first half of that movie is so boring.
Yeah.
Once it gets to Oliver Reed, it's pretty good.
Weirdness and wrongness, like they were pushing some buttons. The whole idea of the innocent girl being raped in the jail, and that's of the werewolf, and it's like, wow.
And just Oliver Reed's so compelling. Like that is one of the major problems here. Is our lead actor is just so uninteresting.
Oliver Reed, even in the scenes where he's not cursed and he's just a young guy on the town, you can't take your eyes off him because the guy he had an aura of intensity that you're like, I want to watch that actor. I want to watch what he does next.
He had the unteachable and oft-mentioned star quality. Yes. That guy steps on screen, and you're like,
looks like he might have done a couple of ginger ale commercials in the 70s. Which is why I'm surprised he did go on to have such a long career. He must have gotten better.
Well,
because he's pretty much a void here.
I mean, I need to see at least some clips from him playing Mr. Darcy, because like a romantic lead, like one of the ultimate romantic leads, I don't see this guy being able to pull that off. Like maybe he did character work. I see that. Anyway, back to this movie. He's in the sewers, and he takes out.
This is where we get Michael Ripper.
I know. What a waste.
I know. Not a single word of dialogue.
No, he's just a guy working the sewers. He's credited as Sewerman.
I know. He is credited as Sewerman. I'm like, that has to be a fine how do you do to Michael Ripper. Who,
a legend of Hammer. In more Hammer movies than even Cushing and Lee.
And, never the lead, but he always delivered a character and is
always
capable
had a good,
of acting.
Solid supporting role and did interesting stuff, had real range in those parts.
I can only say that maybe here it is literally just to put him in as like just a wink for the Hammer fans. This was not... I don't think this is something he did because he couldn't afford rent or something and needed food.
I would hate to think that this is like, please, I'll take anything.
I think this is almost like a cameo for the true fans.
It's God. I just want to see what else he
because really you mainly only see him through Red Lens, and he goes and then he's dead.
Oh no! He was doing a lot of TV at this time. TV guest appearances.
Good.
He was on an episode.
Probably had dialogue.
Yeah, he was on an episode of Sweeney, the Sweeney the same year, which I do love. The Sweeney.
Your favorite show. Your favorite show. You've seen all 8,000 episodes of the Sweeney.
I've seen... No, there aren't 8,000 episodes. I think
that was Z-Car. Sorry.
Yeah, that was at Z-Cars. I have seen every episode of the Sweeney because there are only 54 episodes of the Sweeney. Great show.
With spin-off movies, and you've seen those too.
I have seen the spin-off movies, yeah, I have.
Man!
Yeah.
What a fan.
Yeah. Put your pants on, you nicked. That's the line I distinctly remember from the Sweeney. It was so like hard-boiled streets of London cops, That's right.
Yeah, at any point did they say beep beep?
Beep beep, you nicked.
Another great T-shirt right there. Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. T-shirt is beep beep.
It's Ron Moody dressed like he is in this movie, but holding a police badge.
That would be the best thing ever.
That's what it is. Beep, beep. You nicked.
Oh, we were robbed that didn't happen. Oh, God.
So he kills poor Michael Ripper here in the sewer because he's just like, wah!
And it goes on to kill about 14 more people in this one scene.
No, Michael Ripper does have more lines because he's still alive to tell Peter Cushing.
Oh, but he only says because all it is like
I wrote down his one line.
Right, it's like was it an animal? No.
Yeah.
Was it a man? No.
Not a man. Not a wolf, he says.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I wrote that down, yeah.
All right. Well, I hope that paid for lunch.
And then
or
Peter
something.
Cushing said, Jesus, are you this hard up for work, Michael?
Off camera, he's like, you can tell me, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you need like a tenner?
Let's see what I got here on me.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. I'm sure I can set you up. Here you
go.
go.
It seems like he was working pretty consistently on television, so I think he might have been doing okay.
Yeah.
I just hate to. I love Michael Ripper. I just hate to think he's like, please, what's this part? Sewerman? I'll take it.
This was just,
yeah.
Are you busy this afternoon?
Yeah.
Come by and do this thing because Hammer fans will love seeing you in here.
Yeah. So yeah, basically that next scene is that this guy is still alive, and they say we got to take him to the hospital, and Cushing's like, "There's no time. Only I could save him potentially." But
yeah,
he doesn't, of course. But then this is where they start to figure out. He goes, "When were those first murders?" And the inspector thinks about 4 weeks ago, and he's like, 4 weeks ago, when the moon was also full.
Yeah. This again, he's an amazing actor, but he cannot sell this scene because it's the flimsiest shit. He goes, well, you know what I'm thinking? Moon cycles. There might be a wolf involved, or maybe not a wolf, maybe a man. And the other guy goes, yeah, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And then he says the great thing. He goes, if only I could find a book about this. And I'm sitting there going, wow, you guys are making a stock horror movie. If only I had a book that said werewolves on it.
Oh, why, here it is right here on my shelf.
Here it is.
And the guy's going, but you're a man of science. He's like, well, science only knows so much right now. He's like, and then this is the whole thing about if a tadpole can become a frog, why couldn't the moon change a man into a wolf? You're like, that is the most insane
reasons.
The most insane jump in logic I've ever heard anyone make, maybe in any movie. And
even a Peter Cushing cannot deliver this.
Oh, he's saying it as sincerely as possible, but good Lord.
I hope he had strong words with Mr. Hines.
And so once again, he goes and questions Christine, and he's like, yes, where was he? Oh, he was here, and he finds the thing down to the sewer. Or this is where he's like, he must be using the sewers, of course. That's why no one's ever seen the wolf on the streets. And
essentially,
there's about 5 minutes left in the movie at this point.
Yeah.
And so this is where all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna need silver.
Well, the detective guy goes, well, I can't stop you if you're gonna go looking for him. I wish you wouldn't.
Yeah.
He goes, but if you're going looking for what I think you're going looking for, you're probably gonna need silver bullets.
And it's just another thing where it's like,
okay.
This movie,
I'll melt down some candlesticks.
Then he grabs his cane and sees that the handle of it is silver. He's like, ugh, she'll save me the trip.
Yeah. So he melts down his cane topper.
Yeah.
And
crafts a bullet that he puts in a revolver.
We do love those scenes. I always love creating of a silver bullet
I actually
scene.
thought this as I'm watching. I'm going, I should be enjoying this movie more because Peter Cushing's making a silver bullet because I love that scene in Satanic Rites of Dracula when he's doing that. It's so badass.
That is badass, but this is not that.
No, it's just like, once again, it just feels, I'm going like, God, we jump from this might be a werewolf to now we're making silver bullet. Like, there's no progression. It just feels like movie's almost over.
It's also hard to figure out the passage of time, because what it seems to be is all of this happens the same night.
Yes.
Because we keep going back to Redlands, who keeps killing multiple people in this night. And finally, he's got his silver bullets. So the doctor, our friend Peter Cushing, goes down into the sewers.
Yeah, he leaps down into the sewers, and he finds him pretty immediately, and he's like, hey, whoa, listen, I just want to talk. And I thought,
it is true.
This is wild.
I have not seen this in a werewolf movie before, so I was kind of like, I like that.
And even him going like, ridiculous. I'm going to he's doing the cop movie thing, right? Of like, I'm putting my gun down. Let's just talk it out.
Let's talk this out.
Yeah. It's just you and me. Because also he said to the inspector earlier, don't inform the rest of the police. They'll just kill this guy.
Yeah.
Which is also, well, we'll get to it. That doesn't make sense, though, later.
So he almost talks him down because like, this is where we get talking werewolf, and he goes, help me.
Please help me. And Peter Cushing's like, I will. And he goes to reach out to him. And then you just hear some cop go, there he is over there.
Bang!
And they start shooting him.
He doesn't actually have a gun. He just says bang, bang, bang. But it's enough.
Bang, bang, beep, beep, bang, bang.
It's enough to send the werewolf scurrying.
No,
and
this is the thing that makes
Cushing
no sense.
Goes, you bastards. How dare you? I almost had him.
But he says, must you always kill?
Oh. I didn't know this was a message film until this started.
Yeah, it is. But does he call them like, you blithering fools? Must you always kill? Yeah. But this is where I thought, did these guys load up their guns with silver bullets? They must have, right? Because this werewolf is shot to pieces.
I didn't think they had silver bullets. I just thought that they shot him and he got angry and ran off.
But when you see him later, he's got blood and he's like shot to hell.
Oh, I thought that was just blood from victims, but maybe I was.
No, he's been shot
passing out
and he's dying. And I thought, what in the hell? They finish him off with the silver bullet
because eventually he does have to get offed by the final.
They finally shoot him here, but it seems like he's bleeding out, and he's like, "Must make it to Christine." Like is the way he's playing it. And I just thought it just confused me about like, well, so regular bullets kind of work, but silver bullets will really kill him, you know.
Yeah, maybe it's a thing of like he gets wounded, but he would have healed.
That could be something we're dealing with, like a Wolverine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like a Wolverine.
I'd rather be watching a Wolverine movie. I'll tell you that right now. So
let me just do a quick aside here and say I'd rather be watching a Wolverine movie. If you know
he goes to Christine, and once again, we're just introducing rules. He goes to Christine, and then Peter Cushing comes and he goes, "It's okay. He loves you. He'll never harm you."
Yeah,
what?
Boy, that's a real stretch with a werewolf, but sure.
Well, because we've seen werewolf movies.
It does prove direct, but still.
It does, but we've seen werewolf movies with quite the opposite, where they'll specifically kill the people the person loves.
Well, that was specific to, and this is the same screenwriter. In Curse of the Werewolf, they have the bullshit thing about first they go after the ones they love the most.
It was Curse of the Werewolf. Wasn't that the case in Werewolf of London,
you know
too?
What?
I think that was the case in Werewolf of London as well. It was
something
probably.
Like
that, that was why he was going after his wife.
Yeah, but it's all made up jibber jabber.
What I mean, unlike real werewolves, you mean?
Right, is what I was getting.
It's all the made up jibber jabber. But then, of course, as Cushing's once again trying to reason with this guy, they blast him with this silver bullet. Mm-hmm. And boy, he makes a meal out of this death scene, doesn't he?
Oh, it's good.
You know,
if you didn't cry at this scene, you're not human, John.
Well, I'm not human then, because didn't even.
Well, I'd like to admit that I'm an android.
Yeah.
No,
robot programmed to talk about monster movies.
At the beginning of the podcast, where we even started, you did look at the cam and said, "Teach me of love, Brendan Jones." That was a very android moment.
Yeah.
You asked me what the water was that was falling from my eyes.
And that is how this thing ends. So ends Legend of the Werewolf. And what a legend it was.
It was stinky bad. There is no reason to watch this, even if you're a Peter Cushing fan.
Here's the thing, Brendan. I'm never going to get the security deposit back on this place because I can't get the stink of these movies we've been watching out of the walls.
Landlady walks in and goes, "Have you been doing a horror podcast in here? Like vintage horror films?"
Yeah. That specifically violates your lease.
You didn't lay plastic down first?
Yeah, Yeah. We specifically say in the lease, no classic horror movie podcasts.
Well, to come off a movie like Phantom of the Paradise, which we both love dearly, and to go
movie.
here, this was not.
Well, this lacks everything I like about Phantom of the Paradise. And of course, they're radically different movies, but just like the energy of Phantom of the Paradise, the style, the uniqueness, the even when it doesn't work, the audacity and bold moves of that movie.
Yep.
Whereas here, it's just everything's on autopilot. Yeah.
This is stock, and no effort was really put in.
There's a guy
in
just essentially recycling his own script, basically.
Yeah.
And just going like, man, more of this shit.
Pretty much.
Well, next week on the show begins another two-parter for us. So it's another mini-series. And that's right, we're going over to merry old London town once again for the BBC version of Count Dracula.
Knew it was coming.
Louis Jourdan is
Louis Jourdan.
Count Dracula. Yeah.
He will be very suave, very.
I like Louis Jourdan, and I think he's a good choice.
I think I saw this when I was a kid, or I may have seen one part of it.
I have never seen this. I knew of it. I've never watched it. So we'll be doing part 1 and then part 2 the following week for Count Dracula. Yes.
We are working our way through the 70s, man. We're getting there.
We are. We're coming down to it. After that, we only have 5 more movies. So, yeah. And we will wrap up with our last movie this season will be yet another Dracula adaptation when we do the Frank Langella Dracula, which will finish up this season.
It's so sassy. It's sassy.
Oh, is it ever? I remember liking that one, but it's been a while.
It's been a while for me, too. And I know that if nothing else, I will be angered at the changes in the relationships of the characters. That always bugs me. But anyway.
There are some weird stuff. There's some weird stuff in there. But anyway, next week it's Count Dracula Part 1. And that's going to do it, though, for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Beep, beep. Yeah. Beep, beep.